Welcome to another edition of World Talks here on DVP World. I'm your host Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. Ukraine has faced its largest winter assault yet. Over 70 missiles and 450 drones struck energy infrastructure in Kyiv, Dnipro, and Kharkiv, leaving tens of thousands without heat as temperatures plunged to negative 20 degrees Celsius. Now, with NATO reaffirming support and peace talks approaching, Moscow's intentions are under scrutiny. Joining us today on DVP World to assess the situation is Rostyslav Khotin, a senior editor at our Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty's Ukrainian Service. Hello and welcome to DVP World.
Hello, Benjamin.
So can you help us understand the scale of the latest attacks? How would you characterize the timing and the scale of it with the massive barrage and drone strikes?
Yeah, Russia used more than 70 missiles, both cruise missiles and ballistic missiles to hit Ukraine, and also 450 drones in overnight strike on 7 Ukrainian regions. But most importantly, that Russia again struck energy infrastructure in Kyiv and Kyiv region, in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, in Dnipropetrovsk region, and also in the south, in Odessa region. These are the regions which are have severe problems with electricity and heating in the apartment blocks. The timing is, of course, important because, first of all, Ukrainian biggest private energy company, DTEK, said that it was the most powerful strike since the beginning of this year against energy infrastructure of Ukraine. Also, it coincided with the harshest temperatures, the severe winter. The temperature plunged to minus 20, and in some regions overnight even to minus 25 degrees Celsius. Also this Russian strike happened still within a week of Trump's request for President Putin to stop hitting Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Trump made his plea, made his request on the 29th of January, and we are still at the beginning of February, the 3rd of February, so it's within 1 week of Trump's, let's say, deadline, as he asked personally Russian leader to stop hitting Ukrainian energy infrastructure. So Russia violated not only the word given to President Trump, apparently, but also, as Ukrainian energy minister said, what Russia is doing in Ukraine now during this harsh winter is on the brink of genocide. He called it winter genocide committed by Russia and its army against Ukrainian civilians. Also, this strike happened on the eve of trilateral talks in the United Arab Emirates between Ukrainian, American, and Russian delegation. The Americans will be headed by Steve Witkoff, special envoy, and it was the second round. And apparently, President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, he said that the Ukrainian delegation in Abu Dhabi will adjust its agenda and approach to these talks after this Russian powerful strike against energy infrastructure of Ukraine. Apparently, Ukrainians will be insisting, we can read between the lines, that Putin doesn't want peace, Russia doesn't want peace. They are not serious negotiating. They are not negotiating with honesty. They are not honest about peace efforts. So there will be adjustments of Ukrainian stance during these talks in the United Arab Emirates.
All right, that's something that I'm hoping that we can get your take on as well. Like you mentioned, these recent action might cause both parties to readjust their stance going into the conversation, seeing that, well, it's plenty obvious now Russia is not looking for any semblance of peace. What can we expect from this talk? Is diplomacy still viable, still on the table, or these bombardment is going to change everyone's calculation going forward?
President Trump of the United States was very optimistic about the forthcoming second round of talks between the Ukrainian, Russian, and American delegations, and about prospects for achieving some kind of peace deal. But he made his statement before the powerful Russian strike on the overnight on the 3rd of February. So we'll see how Americans will react, how they will read this Russian military statement. Let's put it this way. We'll see, but the issues which remain are the same. Two main issues out of 20 points of the peace plan still unresolved. That's first of all territorial issue. Apparently, Russian insistence on Ukrainian troops leaving Donbass is unacceptable for Ukrainians, definitely. And also the second issue, which remain unresolved, is how to manage and divide electricity output from the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which is under Russian occupation since the beginning of this full-scale invasion. So we'll see whether delegations will be able to overcome this issue, but this territorial issue remains the same. Russia is still insisting on so-called, as they put it, anchorage formula, apparently, which was discussed in Alaska in August last year between President Trump and President Putin. And apparently Putin insisted on Ukrainian withdrawal from the whole Donetsk region in eastern Ukraine, which is unacceptable because Ukrainians and Americans now insist on freezing the current line of contact, the current front line where Ukrainian troops are, and apparently some kind of demilitarized zone in eastern Ukraine in the Donbas region. We'll see, but Russia is still holds uncompromising position, insisting on Ukrainian withdrawal, and Ukrainians doesn't want to give Russia upper hand during these talks.
So with all these Maximus demands, it does seem like we are once again hitting the same bottleneck as previous talks as well. After the strikes, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte visited the Ukraine, as well as emphasis and pledge more continuous support. But what do you really bring to the table?
First of all, Mark Rutte in Kyiv, he made an announcement that now currently NATO, European members, and Canada buy and supply to Ukraine. They buy from America and supply to Ukrainian air defense 90% of all missiles for air defense, Ukrainian air defenses, and especially for Patriot systems and other systems which are deployed in Ukraine. So now 90% of all missiles currently on duty within Ukrainian air defense forces are bought by NATO members from American stockpiles. That's first issue. Secondly, he also condemned these Russian strikes against Ukrainian energy infrastructure, which happened overnight as Mark Rutte was traveling in a train to Kyiv from western border with Poland. He delivered a speech in Ukrainian parliament, but some members of Ukrainian parliament noticed that he didn't mention at all Ukrainian NATO membership aspirations and prospects for Ukraine membership in North Atlantic Alliance, even in a distant future. He avoided this topic at all. But he said that this latest Russian strike, he said during press conferences, President Zelensky shows that Russian President Putin doesn't want peace and is not serious about achieving real peace deal in Ukraine.
Right, but like you mentioned, Rutte's visit, we can see clearly lack of mentions of either NATO, EU, or even any sort of security guarantees. And all the air defense missile that has been supplied to Ukraine seems to not be able to stop these missiles and drones attacking the energy infrastructure. Do you think that there is anything that NATO or its allies can support to offset some of these renewed attacks?
First of all, Mark Rutte in Kyiv also mentioned security guarantees for Ukraine, which are extremely important for Ukrainians to achieve, to get. Because, if peace deal is signed or some kind of ceasefire is achieved, how to make sure that Russia won't attack within 1 week or 3 weeks or 3 months or 1 year or 3 years. That's which bothers Ukrainian side. And Mark Rutte said that there will be three lines of defense, of security guarantees. First of all, first and foremost, Ukrainian armed forces is number one security guarantee for Ukraine. Powerful armed forces, well equipped, well armed, well paid, numerous armed forces of Ukraine will be security guarantee number one. Second security guarantee will be deployment of Western troops in Ukraine, led by coalition of willing, which mostly these troops will consist of British and French soldiers. They will be deployed in Ukraine, and they will react if Russia will attack. And third line of defense, or said line of security guarantees, as he put it, is American presence and American reaction and American troops. They won't be deployed in Ukraine, but if necessary, they could be deployed, redeployed to Ukraine. So the American security guarantees are also kind of backstop and support for Ukraine to make sure that Russia won't attack again.
Right. And during the visit, Rutte also spoke of what he calls difficult choices ahead. In practical terms, what could these choices be for Ukraine and its allies?
Difficult choices, first and foremost, this phrase is said, is meant, this phrase means territorial concessions. Even there is understanding that Russia won't withdraw very quickly from Ukrainian soil. The Ukraine won't be able to reestablish, regain territorial integrity, sovereignty of all territory in 1991 borders. So there is understanding that some territories will be for years or maybe even longer under Russian control. Not Ukraine won't never recognize this de jure, but de facto there will be Russian control of some Ukrainian territories, and these are difficult choices for Ukraine to see the reality that Russia will occupy some territories of Ukraine for many years to come, probably. And also another difficult choice, of course, is what to do about Donbass, whether to withdraw Ukrainian forces from Donetsk region or not, or if Ukrainians are to withdraw forces, whether Russians also should withdraw from current line of contact. We'll see, but these are difficult choices and difficult decisions for Ukrainians to make.
Right. Last but not least, we have a very little time, but I would like to get your opinion on it as well. With the new phase of talks coming up, are we expecting any breakthrough, or are we looking at another cycle of Groundhog Day, the same discussion with not a lot of results?
It seems that now there is difficulty to expect the quick result with the peace deal, especially taking account the latest Russian strike against Ukrainian energy infrastructure in the harshest winter conditions, and civilians in Ukraine are suffering a lot. So my expectation is that there might be several more rounds of talks before real progress is achieved.
Of course, and as dialogue drags on, Ukraine is still suffering out in the cold. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your input and insight. Appreciate it. And thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.